72 seconds. 72 seconds, in which a senator is alleged to have uncovered an entire 11-month institutional investigation with a single document and a single question. March 15th, 2026, Senate Intelligence Committee hearing. Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal pulled a single page from the yellow folder on his desk and asked, "Director Patel, you attended the meeting in the Oval Office on February 14th, 2025, titled FBI Epstein Files Status Update and Closure Recommendations, didn't you?" The ensuing silence lasted 5 seconds, then 10, then 15. Kash Patel was looking at the tablecloth. Watch the full video, because this moment is considered one of the most critical political moments of 2026 in terms of the discussion on corporate accountability. But to understand those 72 seconds, you need to know who these two men are and why this confrontation seemed inevitable.
Chapter 1.
Two men, two pasts. Richard Blumenthal, senator from Connecticut, Yale Law School graduate, former federal prosecutor, former Connecticut Attorney General, 20 years of experience in organized crime, public corruption, and child abuse cases. Blumenthal doesn't perform for the cameras while interrogating. He gathers evidence. He builds contradictions. He is slow and methodical. His colleagues call him the prosecutor who never left the prosecutor's office. That day, Patel had been preparing for this moment for 11 months since he took office as FBI director. Kash Patel, a former federal prosecutor and former Defense Department official, was an experienced name in national security. When he took office as FBI director in January 2025, he had sworn publicly that the Epstein cases would be fully investigated, powerful names would not be protected, and every witness statement would be followed up. And while these words were recorded in the confirmation hearing transcripts, 11 months later, Richard Blumenthal had put those transcripts on the table. Section 2. 77 minutes before the hearing. March 15th, 2026. Hart Senate Office Building, Room 216. This hearing was supposed to be a routine quarterly FBI activity briefing. Budget, personnel, counterterrorism priorities. But 77 minutes before the hearing, at 1:30 p.m., Blumenthal's office issued a one-sentence statement. Senator Blumenthal has obtained secret FBI documents related to the Epstein investigation. He will present these documents at today's hearing. The media sprang into action immediately. Which documents? From where? How classified? Blumenthal's office declined to answer additional questions. And within minutes, a routine oversight briefing turned into the most watched congressional event in months. Kash Patel entered the building 12 minutes before the hearing. He looked as usual in his navy suit, white shirt, and red tie. But those who knew him noticed the tension in his jaw, the way he scanned everyone in the room but avoided making eye contact, and the unusually high number of lawyers accompanying him, because he was aware that something was coming, but didn't know what it was. If you want to regularly follow these types of corporate accountability analyses, subscribe to our channel. If you keep notifications on, you won't miss this kind of content. Let's continue. Chapter 3. The first 90 minutes. Calm before the storm. The first 90 minutes of the hearing went as expected. Republican senators praised Patel's leadership. He brought up counterterrorism successes, border security operations, and arrest statistics. Patel responded with practiced confidence, the numbers, the accolades, the thanks. Democratic senators questioned civil liberties concerns and allegations of the FBI's politicization. Patel used the standard bureaucratic shield. Ongoing investigations, source and method protection, it is not possible to comment on specific cases. It was a learned deflection dance. At 4:17 p.m., the committee chair gave the floor to Blumenthal. The room fell silent. This was not a normal courtroom silence, a silence charged with expectation, electrified. Everyone knew what was coming, except for Kash Patel. Chapter 4. Confirmation Hearings. When Richard Blumenthal began with a calm and commanding tone, saying, "Thank you, Mr. Chairman," he appeared like a prosecutor who had won the case and was guiding the jury with evidence. He then asked, "Director Kash Patel, I want to discuss your testimony from your confirmation hearing on January 15th, 2025. Do you remember what you said?" Patel, still looking confident, nodded. "I said we would conduct any investigation without fear or favor, Senator. And we did." Blumenthal pulled out a document. "You said this, and I am quoting you verbatim. I will personally ensure that every individual named in witness statements is thoroughly investigated, whether they are a billionaire, politician, or foreign diplomat. Justice is blind, and under my leadership, the FBI will prove it. Do you stand by those words, Director?" "Absolutely, Senator." Patel's voice was firm. "I stand by that commitment." "Good," said Blumenthal. He opened the yellow folder. "Then I want to show you something." Chapter 5. USB drive and 127 files. At that moment, there was something no one knew. Except for Blumenthal and his team, 3 days ago, an FBI agent with 19 years of service, a clean record, and multiple achievement awards walked into Blumenthal's office. He had a USB drive in his hand. On that drive, there were FBI case management files allegedly leaked through unofficial channels. These files showed every active Epstein-related investigation that existed on January 20th, 2025, when Patel took office, and then what each of them was. According to the claim, the number was staggering. On January 20th, 2025, the day Patel took office, there were 127 active Epstein investigations. All of them were closed within the first 60 days of Patel's directorship, each one. And allegedly, the vast majority with Patel's personal authorization code. Blumenthal said, "Director Patel? FBI case file EC-2090847. It was opened in July 2019. Subject, financial transactions between Jeffrey Epstein and an unidentified foreign intelligence service. Status on January 20th, 2025. Active investigation, multiple leads being pursued. The status on January 21st, 2025, the first day you took office. Closed. Reason? Insufficient evidence to proceed." Patel's statement did not change, but his hand moved slightly on the table. "Senator, specific case files in an open session." "I don't want your argument," Blumenthal interrupted. "I'm asking whether you ordered it closed personally." 3 seconds of silence. Patel looked at his lawyers. "Decisions to close cases are made by career agents and prosecutors based on evidence standards. I don't micromanage individual investigations." "Interesting," said Blumenthal. He pulled out another document. Section 6, Signatures. Case file EC-2020G01293. Subject, witness testimony identifying 3 individuals allegedly found at Epstein's New Mexico ranch. Active investigation on January 20th. It was closed on January 22nd. Your authorization code is on the closure form. He removed the document for the cameras. Kash Patel, FBI Director. This is not the decision of career agents, Director. This is your decision. The room became tumultuous. Reporters were writing frantically. Senators were leaning forward. Patel's lawyers were whispering urgently. Blumenthal continued, gaining speed. "Let me show you one more. Case file EC-202266. Subject, analysis of flight records showing 18 trips by a named individual to Epstein's private island. Active investigation with prepared subpoenas. It was closed on January 25th. Your signature." Another document. EC-2020892. Witness testimony describing sexual assault at Epstein's Manhattan home. 3 corroborating witnesses. Active investigation. It was closed on January 27th. Your authorization. Blumenthal started pulling the documents faster. He was piling them on the table like a dealer laying out cards. January 28th, closed. Your signature. January 30th, closed. Your signature. February 2nd, February 5th, February 8th, February 12th, February 14th, February 19th, February 23. They were all closed. All of them were shut down with your authorization. He stopped. He looked directly at Patel. The day you took office, there were 127 active Epstein investigations. You personally closed all of them within 60 days. Not career agents, not prosecutors. You. The silence was absolute. The hum of the ventilation system could be heard. A phone vibrated. A chair creaked. No one spoke. Because everyone there was seeing a systematic pattern documented so clearly for the first time. If you want to continue following this issue and regularly see corporate accountability analyses, subscribe to our channel. We will continue to share the developments of this process here. Now let's get to that 72 seconds.
Chapter 7. One-Page Patel tried to recover.
He said these closures were based on evidence review, that many investigations reached a dead end or were lacking prosecutable evidence. Blumenthal didn't back down. Director Patel, I have case files in my hand, EC 2019847. The file you closed on day 1 were the grand jury subpoenas that were waiting to be served. The lead agent wrote in the latest report. This investigation identified specific individuals, dates, locations, and financial transactions. We have 3 cooperating witnesses ready to testify, awaiting final approval for prosecution. This is not a dead end, Director. This is an active investigation that you closed. Then Blumenthal reached for the folder once more. This time, he pulled out a single page. Just one page. But the way he held it, almost reverently, signaled that this page was the final blow. Director Patel, he said slowly, did you attend a meeting at the White House on February 14th, 2025? Patel hesitated. As part of my duties, I attend many meetings at the White House. February 14th, Blumenthal repeated, Valentine's Day, from 3 to 4:45 in the afternoon, Oval Office. Participants, you, the Attorney General, the White House Chief of Staff, and the President. Yes or no, did that meeting take place? Patel's lawyers visibly went on high alert. Someone leaned forward and whispered. Patel brushed him off. Yes, that meeting took place. And what was discussed about the Epstein investigations in that meeting? Senator, discussions with the President are privileged. I'm not asking what the President said, Blumenthal interrupted. I'm asking what you discussed regarding the Epstein investigations. I don't specifically remember, Blumenthal lifted the page. Let me refresh your memory. This is a White House visitor log entry that was unsealed by court order yesterday. Meeting subject line, FBI Epstein Files Status Update and Closing Recommendations. Chapter 8. Everything became clear. At that moment, everything fell into place. The reason why 127 investigations were closed so quickly, why Kash Patel personally signed off on every closure form, and why the investigations with the strongest evidence were closed first was no coincidence. It was claimed to be part of a coordinated plan, not a lack of evidence, and according to the meeting minutes, this plan had been approved at the highest levels. As Patel's mouth opened and closed, his chief counsel stood up and said, Mr. Chairman, the witness should consult with his counsel before answering questions about executive branch communications. However, Richard Blumenthal responded, his voice echoing in the room, Sit down. This is not a matter of privilege. It's about your client lying to Congress. And his voice grew louder. During his confirmation hearing, Director Patel swore he would follow every lead, that no powerful names would be protected, that he would uphold justice. Within 2 months of being sworn in as director, he allegedly went to the White House to seek approval for the investigations that were to be closed. And then he stood before the American people and said the FBI pursued justice without fear or favor. Blumenthal lifted the stack of case files. Do you know what is in these files, Director? The testimonies of the survivors. Women who were teenagers when they were harassed, who had the courage to speak to the FBI, and who were promised justice. And you closed their cases. Not because the evidence is weak. These files show that there is strong evidence, because the people they named are very powerful, very protected. He counted the documents one by one. Flight records showing 11 trips, financial records, witness statements. Each one was closed. Patel was no longer looking at Blumenthal. He was looking at the tablecloth. He was looking at the tablecloth.
Chapter 9. Last Chance. Director Patel,
Blumenthal said, his voice now low but deadly clear. I'm giving you a chance. Tell the truth. Did someone give you orders to close those investigations? Every camera in the room focused on Patel's face. This was the moment. Would he fall? Would he name names? Would he seek refuge in privilege? The silence stretched. 5 seconds. 10. 15. Finally, Patel spoke. Senator, the decisions I made regarding the FBI investigations reflect my own discretion as director and my consultations with the Department of Justice and are consistent with my obligations. Your obligations were to the victims, Blumenthal's voice rose. Your obligations were against the law. Your obligations were to the truth. Instead, allegedly, you went to the White House to receive your orders and systematically covered up every piece of evidence threatening powerful names. He gathered his documents. Mr. Chairman, I request that these documents be added to the Congressional record. I request the Inspector General of the Department of Justice to immediately investigate Director Patel's handling of the Epstein files. I request that the Department of Justice Inspector General immediately open an investigation into Director Patel's handling of the Epstein files. Chapter 10. Public Reaction and Aftermath. The hearing officially ended at 6:30 p.m., but after Blumenthal's statements, no one could focus. According to publicly available sources, the footage spread rapidly. Legal commentators described the testimony as one of the most striking congressional interrogations seen in decades. It was reported that 3 Republican senators requested a special prosecutor investigation. The White House stated that the accusations were politically motivated. The FBI Agents Association, a union representing active agents, issued a statement supporting full transparency in all Epstein investigations. Chapter 11. Claim or Reality. At this point, it is necessary to draw clear distinctions. The documents presented in this hearing have not been verified by the public. The claim that Blumenthal showed Patel's authorization code on the closure forms has not been verified by independent sources. The content of the White House meeting records and exactly what was discussed at this meeting have not been officially clarified. It remains unclear whether the Inspector General investigation has been opened and its scope. What is publicly known? Patel made extensive commitments regarding the Epstein investigations during his confirmation hearing. There were various reports of changes in the number and management of active investigations. Blumenthal documented that he presented FBI letterhead documents and read them on camera. Patel confirmed that the meeting took place, but he declined to answer questions about its content, citing privilege. This process is not yet complete, and the legal outcomes remain uncertain. End. 72 seconds and corporate accountability. 72 seconds. From the moment Blumenthal asked about that White House meeting to the moment Patel was engulfed in silence. What does this story tell us? Corporate accountability is often a more complex process than it appears. Claims that emerge during a congressional hearing gain clarity in the legal process. Documents express, but court decisions conclude. Blumenthal's questioning revealed the theoretical functioning of oversight mechanisms in practice. Patel's silence, however, left that familiar void that served as an answer. And that silence captured everyone's attention for 72 seconds. If you have watched this analysis up to this point, I think you want to follow this type of documentary content. Subscribe to our channel and keep notifications on. We will continue to regularly share updates on this process. You can share your views on corporate accountability mechanisms in the comments. See you in the next video.